Welcome back to another Crab Champions build guide. Today we're going to dive deep into the quintessential Crab Champions weapon. It's even in the logo. Well, kind of. We're talking about the dual shotgun. Used to be called the pump shotgun. Used to be a single one. Now we got dual. These bad boys are the close quarters weapon in the game. There is the auto shotgun, but it's not quite the same. And I did rank these A tier in my tier list ranking video. And that was coming off of closed beta before I had even touched early access, and 2 weeks into early access, I'm happy with that ranking. A tier all the way. They even sometimes feel like S. So starting off, we're obviously gonna be looking at close quarters, but you can technically go ranged, and you'll see that later in the video. But there are two main builds around this weapon. And of course, for the focus of this video, we're just going to be talking about the weapon build. Yes, you can do melee. Yes, you can obviously work in grenade. Those will be separate videos. We're just going to focus on the weapon mods and perks that augment the weapon itself. So the two main builds I'm going to focus on here are just a pure close range damage and then an elemental type build. And regardless of which of these you go on, there's a baseline of close range perks that you're going to want to get. So let's get into those here. We got danger close. Damage is increased for close range enemies. Close range, what does that mean? It's tough to say. There's no real definition. You're just gonna have to play with it. It's definitely within the default range of the weapon. We've also got Snatcher, where close range kills increase your amount of crystals, get a little bit of economy going. As I've said before, economy is always your friend. If you can get some economy going, you don't have to worry about RNG. You can just buy it from the shop. I mean, there's still RNG in the shop, but you get the point. And we got personal space, max health, increases for every 10 close range elims. That's going to happen a lot here with this build. And then if you want to stack some auras, you can do that as well. We've got damage aura and then all the various elemental auras. Those will just help out when you're so close to the enemies to begin with. And finally, you're going to want some movement speed just to help you get out of tight, sticky situations, especially when you're dealing with super close in your face combat. So things like stamina for extra dashes and speed demon for extra movement speed will be your friend. You don't have to focus on them early, but they will help as you go. So while I was talking about elementals, let's get into that build first. The elemental maniac type build here. You're going to want to pick one of your elements. You can actually have a couple, but we've got obviously fire, poison, ice, and lightning. And just to define those real quick, fire is just damage over time. Lightning is chaining damage between enemies. Poison is kind of applying a debuff to the enemy. So if they're poisoned, they take double damage from all incoming sources. And then ice will slow them or even freeze them entirely. There's no damage outright at the beginning of ice, although some perks will allow that to happen. And it's mostly just a crowd control type thing. You don't want to stack fire and ice. They will negate each other to some extent, but any other combination of those perks can work, including all three, or three of them, like fire, poison, lightning, or ice, poison, lightning. But typically you only really have room to focus on one. So obviously we have fire shot, ice shot, lightning shot, poison shot, and random shot. And then these will all basically just add stacks of that element. A stack is just applying the element debuff to the enemy, and then the number of stacks increases the amount of time that the debuff is applied. You know, you can get to the point where you're applying thousands of stacks and then they're just poisoned for a while, or on fire for a while, or lightning chaining for a while. You get the point. Then obviously each elemental type has its own perks that help it increase stacks, increase damage while they're under those stacks. And then of course, fire and ice have their own specific perks where if they're on fire, they're just taking damage while they're on fire. Or if they're iced, they're just taking damage while iced. Specifically, poison has toxic to increase the stacks and poison vial to increase damage to poison enemies. For fire, we've got fire starter to increase stacks, oil can to increase damage to burning, and extinguisher to just do damage while they're burning. For ice, we've got ice cold to increase the stacks, ice cube to increase damage to iced enemies, and ice breaker for the damage over time while they're iced. And lightning, we have high voltage to increase the stacks, and metal rod to increase damage to shocked enemies. I'm gonna say in general, poison is the best one just because it's a damage multiplier type perk. It works just like slag in Borderlands, so you want to poison them and then the whole squad can gang up on them real easily. If you're going solo, doesn't matter, you're still gonna do more damage. Now, second main build is just a pure damage build. And what I mean by this is you're going to be up close and personal. You want your shotguns to feel like little bazookas almost. It's just shooting crazy amounts of projectiles with crazy high damage per projectile. You don't need the elements for this build. You can just worry on pure damage output. So for rare mods, we've got things like trick shot, which increase damage for hip firing. If you can't aim with this weapon, it's dual wield, so that's going to be nice. Sharp shot, that's a flat damage boost. Recoil shot, you might as well. It's not a fully automatic weapon. You don't have to deal with recoil anyway. Things like the projectile mods, the zigzag shot, snake shot, chaos shot. These are all really annoying on automatic weapons, but you're just firing one at a time with a shotgun. Not really that big of a deal. You're gonna be close and personal anyway. Doesn't matter if the bullets are going crazy. You're right in their face. So yeah, you can take those if you want. Then we move on to the epic perks. You got things like arc shot, dagger arc, arcane blast. These are all additional projectiles that can happen in arc formations, or that arcane blast is kind of like just a weird purple blast. It's hard to describe. For legendary, you've got things like firepower, which just additional projectiles per shot. You've got splash damage because, you know, why not? Splash damage is always nice. And you get to that point where you just have tons and tons and tons of projectiles. You can even really go crazy and get things like split shot, chance for shots to split in the air before they hit an enemy, or scatter shot, chance for shots to go out the back and split once they've hit enemies. And you just get to the point where you have tons and tons of projectiles. Now, remember at the beginning I said close range or long range, so here's where this comes in. Not everyone is comfortable playing super close range, and that's completely fine. It is a higher risk, higher reward type strategy with the shotguns, but that doesn't mean you have to do that. So what if you just want to stay at medium range, more of a normal safe distance? Well, we're going to have to change the perks up a little bit and change up the mods a little bit. But for your weapon mods, you can get things like fast shot and accelerating shot. Both of those effectively extend the damage range of these weapons so that you're not falling off after that super short range. I mean, sometimes you'll shoot the shotgun at someone and it looks like it should hit them. Your crosshairs are lined up, but they're too far away. The bullets just don't make it. Now they will make it, and you'll be able to keep a tighter spread with accelerating shot and fast shot in order to actually kind of have a little bit of a shoddy sniper situation going. Once you have these more medium range perks, you can still go on and either stack elemental mods and stuff like we were talking about earlier, or those pure damage mods like we were talking about more recently. Doesn't really matter, just personal preference there. As long as you have fast shot and accelerating shot, one of the two, ideally both, you'll be able to do damage at range, and it'll be pretty nice. But yeah, like I said, at that point, we're not focusing on close range, so those close range perks that we talked about at the beginning, kind of worthless. So for your damage, you're going to want things like damage combo, gemstone, collector, all things that increase your damage regardless of range. You don't have to be close up, and then you still want economy, obviously, so paycheck, big crystals, crystal combo. These are all going to help you out getting that economy going so that you can effectively buy the things you need at shops. So there you have it. Two main builds for the shotgun. We've got a pure damage output, and then we've got more of an elemental type output. And then obviously you can do either of those at super close range or more of a safe and sound medium range. Hopefully this helped you guys out. If you like this guide, then please consider liking the video. Helps the video do better, helps the account grow. You know how it works. Also subscribe. More of these guides coming in the future. And let me know, how are these guides working? Am I on the mark, or am I a complete idiot? I like to think that I'm pretty good at this game, but hey, even I can learn more. So let me know in the comments below how this helped you out. See you next time.